Whether you love me or hate me, you gotta vote for me.
And I don't like Donald Trump. I'm voting for Donald Trump because he is the obvious choice, because Kamala Harris is incapable.
And what makes Donald Trump the obvious choice to you?
Energy independence, border security, the economy, taxes, tariffs, global security.
And was your life better underneath Donald Trump's administration or underneath the Biden-Harris administration?
Donald Trump's administration.
And what would be your message to all the people that are going to be voting for Kamala Harris in this upcoming election?
Change your mind.
Do you believe you bear any responsibility in the way that withdrawal played out?
I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. And as a result, America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that endless war. There is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world. But let's understand how we got to where we are. Donald Trump, when he was president, negotiated one of the weakest deals you can imagine. He bypassed the Afghan government. He negotiated directly with a terrorist organization called the Taliban.
Okay, retired Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg joins me now. Is Trump to blame in any way for the Afghan debacle, as Harris implies?
Hey, Stuart, thanks for having me. The answer is no.
2020 Trump is still making sense this year, guys. And as you guys heard, even people that don't like him are now opting to vote for him because he's the only logical choice.
So much has been made about Donald Trump's surge with black voters. What do you attribute this to besides your swag, obviously?
He's real.
Yeah.
He's a real guy. For 9 years, they've been going after him. They've done everything to him. They said he was a Ruski. They said he was a plant. They said he was a con artist. Now they said that he's indicted. Now they're saying he's a convict. And through it all, he doesn't speed up. He doesn't slow down. It's still MAGA all day long. Yep. It's still, I'm standing for the forgotten men and women. It's still all those other networks, not here, Jimmy. They're nothing but fake news. And what people have seen is that they mistreat him day in, day out. But he's still fighting for the American people. Black men look at that and they're like, man, if he can go through that, maybe he's saying the truth.
Yeah.
And then the last piece is when he was president, is how they say it, you know, over the bridge in Brooklyn. When he was president, my pockets were right.
That matters.
My money was together.
He's the presidential candidate that's out there talking to people and having them ask him questions about our future. Here's just a small bit of it from the concluded Fox News town hall. And guys, before we get started, just want to thank y'all as always for being here. Thank you for subscribing to the channel and for hitting the like button and sharing these videos on Facebook and Twitter. Let's get started.
Mr. President, is it possible to correct the extensive damage the current administration has caused related to our safety and security? From the border crisis to the plethora of weapons left behind in Afghanistan, I fear for my 3 adolescent sons. At night, what do I tell Kale, Kate, and Cole about their safety and their future of this great nation?
Well, the first thing you should do is pray.
Amen.
Because what they've done to our country, right? What they've done to our country, what these, and I hate to use the word, what these stupid people, naive people, but bad people, you know, weaponization. Again, they're after me. I got more court cases. On Friday, I have one. On Monday, I have one. And they do that for very bad reasons. They don't want you to campaign. They want to keep you off the campaign. They want to try and take as much money as possible instead of putting it in. But let me just tell you, the hardest problem we have, because a smart president would be able to get along with Russia, China. There are a lot of reasons why. But the biggest problem we have is they've allowed 21 million people into our country. And I told you last night, I tell you tonight, it's the single biggest problem. They've poisoned our country.
And with the Harris campaign, you're not going to see anything like this. She doesn't like being asked questions. The questions she prefers are those that don't even relate to the future of our country. She's out here on the campaign trail and all she's done is get dessert and food from all over the place.
I would love to give you a bag of pretzels to take back.
Give me a bag of pretzels to give Doug. Because he actually would be really upset if I did not bring him because I could tell you that he like secretly eats pretzels at night.
Does
and
he
he's
really?
like, and I'm like, honey, you got to slow down on the pretzels.
He can steal it. So just only a few.
Oh my God! Oh, he's gonna love this.
Yeah,
that's fair. I will tell him.
Thank you so much.
Oh, that's yum.
Yeah, thank you.
Yum.
Let's do a couple of rapid fire questions, and just give me what kind of pops up in your mind.
Okay.
Diet.
I like vegetables. I like to, eat with a knife and fork whenever I can.
Good.
And I say that because these days campaigning, I am often eating in the car, ripping open boxes, and, something that can be eaten with one hand.
Yes. Exercise.
Tea.
Coffee or tea?
Tea and coffee.
Yeah. Beer, wine, or bourbon?
Wine.
Is she sure that it's just wine or all three options on that last question? Granted, she was asked about that back in 2019, so maybe her options have changed now. But the fact remains that she's been painted as this politician who voters can relate to. They've been trying to do this for years, but it's just not enough for most voters. In fact, the polls are now showing, they're now starting to show just how badly Harris is doing at the moment. So guys, here's a New York Times Siena College poll that shows the difference between the two in early September. Remember folks, facts over feelings, and the facts are telling us that Donald Trump is about to steamroll the Harris campaign by November.
You can see financials getting hammered more than all the others. And the broad market rally, by the way, became a sea of red. Our credit challenges have intensified. Late payments on auto loans in July and August rose by 20 basis points more than expected. We clearly are dealing with a cohort of borrowers who have been struggling with the cost of living and now are struggling with an employment picture that has worsened.
One major contrast between the two candidates, taxes. An opinion piece in the Wall Street Journal warns about Kamala Harris's tax and spend plan, saying, quote, you would pay Harris's wealth tax. The sell-off caused by a levy on unrealized capital gains would devastate ordinary investors and 401ks. Joining us now to weigh in, Steve Forbes, chairman and editor-in-chief of Forbes Media. Steve, I think this is the thing people need to get. The wealth tax doesn't hit the wealthy primarily. It hits everybody because it devastates the equity markets.
Well, this is a whole thing that they have, and that is trying to stir up envy. But you're right about what that article pointed out today. By hitting so-called rich people, you devastate the stock market. If you own a company worth hundreds of millions of dollars, you have to dump that part of that stock every year to realize the cash to pay it. Who knows what happens when you have a loss? It also hurts private investment, so you have less capital, you have less rise in the standard of living. It devastates everyone. So what Trump should hit tonight, everyone who has a 401k, an IRA, or a pension plan, the assets behind it are in jeopardy with that kind of tax. And then you take the capital gains tax, raising it to levels we haven't seen since the 1970s, which was a pretty bad decade. There you go again. Economy doesn't grow without the fuel of capital savings. We stagnate. Just look at Cuba, North Korea, or even Europe.
I'll add a third problem to that. What if you did that and then you hiked up the corporate tax rate to 28%? He actually wants to bring it down to 15% to stimulate businesses, to the same point of the unrealized gains. If you stimulate businesses, you're not taking away from working people. You stimulate the whole economy, which pays dividends.
And what research keeps showing is that who pays the corporate tax? Not the corporation.
The worker.
They're simply a tax collector.
Okay.
So it's workers, stockholders, customers.
Right.
They get the money from somebody else, and then they fork it over to the IRS. So if they put even a fraction of those taxes in, you're not going to have a recession. You'll have a true depression.
Well, guys, the great wealth transfer is in full effect. And, whether it's Donald Trump that ends up winning the election or if it's Kamala Harris, oh, God, we're in a world of a pickle, as my grandfather would say. Our freedoms are being stolen, guys. Credit card companies are out to get us. And if you don't understand the game, well, you end up getting played by the game. Now, if you're anything like me, guys, you were probably out of shape, maybe in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, and just feeling like the system is just completely taking advantage of you. I remember for a long time, I could rarely ever get any time to spend with my wife. And it's kind of funny because where I used to work with a lot of married men. And a lot of those married men would always complain about their spouses as if they really just didn't even like their spouses, which is sounding like a pretty horrible situation. But that was the case for many of them. They didn't like who they were married to. But I was different. Anyway, through trial and error and through a lot of pain, I figured out how to gain freedom and also lose a lot of weight and actually get in shape. And guys, I'm gonna be honest with you, that was a game changer. To no longer be living paycheck to paycheck, figuring out how to get the credit cards to pay me, the power of a strong credit score. I pay thousands of dollars less per year for the same house as my neighbor just because my credit is better than his is. And this is not to brag. I mean, but this is the truth. The banks are literally taking advantage of the poor. It's like the people who can least afford it, they're charging the poor what is like unofficially called a poor tax or a tax on the poor. I mean, I'm now at a point where, you know, like, number one, I don't pay for credit cards. In fact, credit card companies pay me to use their cards. And I figured out how to build a lifestyle that is just ultimately very, very healthy. I lost a tremendous amount of weight and I put on a lot of muscle. But when I was struggling, I wish I knew people who knew these things. So anyway, I decided to create a community of like-minded people who are also interested, just like me, in living better. So if you guys want to join my community, it's called the Liberty Pursuit Network. It is brand new. Come on over. I'd love to have you guys and join like-minded people. Be positively motivated by others who are also on the same pursuit. So I'm going to leave a link for you guys so you can join me over on the Life Pursuit Network in the description down below this video. So check it out, guys, and let's not be a victim of this great wealth transfer that is taking place right now. But if they want to talk about feelings, we can go there too. Now, if you guys have noticed, Kamala Harris has not once talked about her father during her entire campaign. She mostly talked about her mother, and that's about it. The reason for this is that their relationship has been strained. Back in 2019, Donald Harris. Interesting how her father's name is Donald Harris and she's going up against Donald Trump. Anyway, so Donald Harris, that's his real name, by the way, called out Kamala Harris for joking about her Jamaican heritage, connecting it with the use of marijuana and then laughing about it.
I know the answer to this too. They say you oppose legalizing weed.
That's not true.
I know.
and look, I joke about it, half joking. Half my family's from Jamaica. Are you kidding me?
They be so mad at you.
Right.
You ever smoked?
I have.
Okay. Like in
And
college,
I inhale. I did inhale.
Okay.
It was a long time ago. But yes.
I know you have to go. They say you have to go. I just wanted to
I
ask.
just broke news.
I mean, was it in college? See, I like stuff like that. That's a real honest answer.
That's amazing, isn't it? She just stereotyped her own ethnicity, her own background, just for a few laughs. And here's the best part, guys. As a prosecutor, she's filled California's prisons with more than 1,000 people for marijuana-related charges. And yet, here she is admitting that she herself had done it as well. Should she now send herself to prison? And her Marxist father, who's proud of their lineage, didn't take this joke lightly. Her own dad said that his grandmothers would be turning in their graves as they hear what Kamala Harris is saying right now. Her dad has rejected her, as they see their family's name, reputation, and proud Jamaican identity being connected in any way, jokingly or not, with the fraudulent stereotype of a pot-smoking joy seeker and in the pursuit of identity politics. See, even Donald Harris knew that his own daughter was playing identity politics. One of the strategies that she's used to propel her political career. She's doing it right now with black voters, because a lot of black folks are coming out here to say that, hey, we don't think Kamala Harris is black at all. Her father then continued his statement to say, speaking for myself and my immediate Jamaican family, we wish to categorically disassociate ourselves from this travesty. Wow, guys. Now, it's also worth noting that Kamala Harris only changed her stance on this use of marijuana because she wanted people to forget her history as a prosecutor in California. But wait, isn't this the exact same play that her campaign is making right now? She wants us to forget that she was the border czar and then announces that she's going to build a wall. She wants us to forget that she let in millions of illegal immigrants with the plan to provide them with anything and everything that they need, something that they can't do for our own. And she absolutely wants us to forget that she's been the vice president of our country for the last 3.5 years, still is, and expects us to believe that she can make things better. So what do you guys think? She looks like a complete fraud to me, and she's clearly two-faced. So, will she actually stick to one policy idea this time around? Although it may be hard for her given that she can't even stick to one accent. Now guys, I did a previous video where I showed you the many different sides of Kamala Harris and how she's done the same thing over and over again just trying to win your vote. Oh my God, she's so fake. Make sure you guys watch that video out after this one. And as always, appreciate you guys being here. I'll be sure to see you guys on the next one. Also, thank you so much for hitting the like button and subscribing. See you guys next time.